The intervention video. Metacognitive routine, the PME, which is to plan, monitor and evaluate, into Year 7 lessons on adding and subtracting fractions. Metacognition and self-regulation approaches support pupils to think through their own learning more explicitly, often by teaching them specific strategies for planning, monitoring and evaluating their learning. On the Education Endowment Foundation Teaching and Learning Toolkit, this is described as a high impact for very low cost intervention based on extensive evidence, with impact at 8+ months. So metacognition is the learner's ability to be aware of, reflect on, and direct their thinking. And self-regulate learners apply metacognitive strategies to their learning. They demonstrate self-regulation by managing their motivation, thoughts, and behaviour to set goals, monitor work, reflect, and review progress. Behind the average. So if you look at the Teaching and Learning Toolkit in a bit greater depth, what you'll see is the impact is similar across all age groups. Studies within early years primary and secondary age pupils show high effects. Metacognitive and self-regulation strategies have been used across the curriculum, with approaches in mathematics very successful. However, the effect on reading outcomes is also high. Metacognitive strategies that support reading comprehension form a large proportion of the evidence base and demonstrate a positive impact on pupil outcomes. And the evidence suggests metacognition and self-regulation strategies are effective in whole class, large, small group, and one-to-one settings. So if you want to find out more, you can go to the EEF Teaching and Learning Toolkit, and this will go into a little bit more detail on metacognition and self-regulation. What is the plan, monitor, and evaluate routine? So the routine is a simple way of helping pupils to become more independent and self-regulated learners. It breaks learning into 3 stages that pupils are taught to use before, during, or after a task, particularly in independent learning work. So in the plan stage, before starting the independent work, pupils are encouraged to understand what the task is asking, decide which strategy to use, and think about what success will look like. In mathematics, this might mean identifying the type of fraction, question, and choosing an appropriate method. The monitor stage. While pupils are working, pupils are prompted to check whether the strategy is working, notice mistakes or confusion, and make changes if needed. So for fractions, this could include checking that denominators are the same or that conversions have been done correctly. Evaluate. After completing the task, pupils reflect briefly on what worked well, what step mattered most, and what they will do differently next time. So this helps the pupils to learn from the task, not just complete it. So why PME matters? So the Education Endowment Foundation highlights that pupils make better progress when teachers explicitly teach, model and scaffold how to plan, monitor and evaluate learning. PME provides a practical structure for doing this within everyday lessons rather than additional activity. Over time, pupils need fewer prompts and begin to use these questions independently, supporting long-term improvement in accuracy, confidence and learning. An updated EEF guidance report on metacognition and self-regulation has been published, so we recommend, if you haven't read this, go to the EEF website and download this. So the Year 7 Fractions PME Intervention. This intervention focuses on Year 7 lessons on adding and subtracting fractions. It introduces a short plan, monitor, evaluate routine to support pupils' thinking during independent practice. Importantly, the curriculum content, lesson structure, and expectations all remain the same. Teachers should continue to deliver their usual lessons. The change is how pupils are supported to plan, check, reflect on their work in independent practice. Implementation time is approximately 5 minutes per lesson, and it's built onto existing practice with no additional marking. You'll find in the resource folder a teacher delivery guide. So this short guide explains when and how to use the PME routine during lessons on adding and subtracting fractions. It outlines where the plan, monitor and evaluate prompts fit with independent practice, example questions teachers can use when modelling fraction strategies, and what to avoid, such as over-scaffolding or skipping the reflection. This is intended as a reference rather than a script, just to support consistent delivery. You'll also find the Pupil PME prompt card. This is a A4 document which has 2 copies on, which can be printed and split down. And this prompt card is to be used during the fraction practice. It helps the pupils to plan by identifying the type of fraction question and choosing a strategy, monitor their work by checking denominators and conversions, and then to evaluate what helped them succeed and what they could do next time. So this makes pupils' thinking visible and supports independence over time. You can also use a reflection slip, or you can put this onto your PowerPoint slides, which is just designed as a 90-second reflection to reinforce the evaluation without creating an extra marking burden. So that's the end of the intervention video. The next thing is to move on to the implementation.